See, Turley says if Jimmy Garoppolo wins the Super Bowl, do they resign him and make Trey Lance the backup? Yeah, probably. But let's see Jimmy Garoppolo win next week before we talk about him winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, listen, if Jimmy G wins a Super Bowl, they can erect a statue and sign him to a lifetime contract for all I care.
Yeah, I mean, let's see that happen.
I
Merlin
don't
Russell
care.
says people are afraid of the unknown. Trey's the biggest unknown. It isn't anything about racism when idiots were down talking him. They were just human. Myself, F Jimmy, Trey all day. I see what you mean. That's a good point. Yeah, and I've never ever seen a project quarterback. Everyone agreed Trey was a project with the most inexperienced quarterback ever drafted to a contender. Like that's never happened. That was unprecedented. And that was a good example of Kyle having a really bad feel for like social dynamics. Why is this everyone says it's the best situation for a young quarterback. He's in a lose-lose situation. Unless he's perfect as soon as he gets on the field, those veterans will reject him. And they did. And that was predictable. And maybe they're not even wrong. I mean, that's just human nature, the way I look at it.
I feel like Kyle, the biggest criticism I would have for Kyle that I would like to see improve is I feel like he's extremely reactive. I don't feel like he's proactive. There are a lot of things that we've talked about. And again, I know people like to, hey, you're not a professional. You don't know what you're talking about. I agree. I'm not the professional. I'm not getting paid to run this team. But what I will say is if I'm not a professional, I'm not getting paid to run this team, why could I tell you that trusting Verrett last year was a bad idea to not get injured? Why could I tell you that having Jimmy on this roster might not be the best thing for Trey's development? Like, how could I see those things, but the head coach couldn't? Right. And
I mean, the day before last Sunday's game against the Seahawks, I was like, hey, Kyle, can you stop running Trey between the tackles? Because if he gets hurt, then that's obviously your fault and that's stupid. And that's what happened. I'm with you. It's just so obvious. And it's like, Kyle, you wouldn't call those plays in the preseason, right? Why? Because it's dangerous. Because it's the preseason. But you call it in the first quarter of a game you're going to win on defense. Based on defense. Okay. Niner Gang Wolfcast says, let's let Jimmy cook 2020. No more dictator Kyle 2017 vibes. Let Jimmy do his thing and see what happens. Honestly, I agree. Kyle, you need to do that. Do that. It's Jimmy's contract year. You giving Jimmy a bunch of instructions has never helped him. It's turned him into an interception machine. Let him do his thing and live and die by it. I agree.
Even if he's the same player, if just mentally he feels freer, right? His physical limitations are his physical limitations. Those are always going to be there. But if he just feels freer mentally, maybe that's enough for him to take this team over the hump. It really might be.
Agree. Gus Bojo, thank you. Zach Carter. Trey's going to be on ice as many years as number of draft picks that Niners traded up for him. 3. Ridiculous. Well put. Ethan says, we are in the worst case scenario. Kyle Shanahan keeps failing. It feels like the emperor has no clothes and we finally realized it. You know, it's like, oh, wow. We're finally calling him on his obvious mistakes. You guys and Middlecoff need to make peace. I like Middlecoff. We were just disagreeing about like 2 things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, I thought Middlecoff was pretty snide in his remark, and so I gave it back. That's that's just the way it is.
That's how we do. Yeah. I bet you when I see Middlecoff in person, it'll be all good. I bet you. I mean, I like John.
I still respect
his opinion. Work on Twitter though.
I still watch his stuff and respect his opinion. So
Yeah, he was wrong. I had to let him know, but we're cool. And if he thinks I'm wrong, I'm cool too. Matthew Sanders says, Grant, just want to say that I have a new level of respect for you. Your professional colleagues talking about draw lines and cadences. Oh my God, barf. Get off his D. Hey, you heard Juszczyk modify his whole stance today, right?
He did. Juszczyk's a very smart individual. That does
smart enough to figure out that like he didn't quite express himself the way he should have, and he did today. Right. So smart. I'm glad I gave him that opportunity. Do they consider trading Trey if they win the Super Bowl? Matt, can we take it 1 week at a time, please? If they win the Super Bowl? Really? Are we going to do the same thing? I feel like this is like Blazers fans being like, hey, if Damian Lillard
and you need to chill out with that Blazer. Why do you always the Blazers?
It's like an NBA team that's not gonna get it done. You don't have the winning formula, but you want to give it a 5th try. Like, you don't have the winning formula. It's not there. But in football, like, you can always kind of, hey, well, someone could get hurt or any given Sunday, that kind of stupid stuff.
Listen, my guy Dame Time's always taking strays from you. I don't understand it.
The coach says, just saw your response on Twitter. What I said was below the belt. I apologize, Jesse. I still disagree with you, though, but wrong is wrong, and I was. What happened?
Hey, listen, that's very big of you.
The coach is on Twitter?
I'll explain it real quick.
didn't
Thank you,
know.
coach. I appreciate that. So I had posted the clips of Jimmy, and really to me, it was actually more of a shot at Kyle than it was Jimmy. And I said, listen, if we have a quarterback that can't make the consistent throws, whatever. And he said, hey, I feel like you're being divisive in the fan base and da 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 da. But then he conflated that with my religion and was like, oh, hey, so basically like somebody who believes in Jesus wouldn't do this. I'm like, bro, this is sports and you're bringing my religion into it. Like please don't do that. So
anyway, coach is a good guy. I'm glad.
Yeah, he's a good guy. I
appreciate
Mexican,
that. $2. Appreciate you. Haha says Jimmy is limited like a one-dimensional MMA fighter. He has no ground game, so you don't have to guard the takedown. This is why I will never be champ. Agree. That's why I said today, I was like, Niners, you gotta encourage Jimmy to throw down the field, because current Jimmy, the check down Charlie Jimmy, that's never going to be a champion ever. So look, if Jimmy 2.0 suddenly emerges and he's gunning it down the field and hitting it, dude, they're going to win the Super Bowl. He could do it, but he can't if he's playing cautious.
Listen, I've got to give Jimmy the same grace mentally that I gave to Trey. And when I said Jimmy being here was not good for Trey's mental, regardless of what people are telling you, now that Jimmy can play free, he needs Kyle to put his arm around him. Kyle, you don't have another option. You can't have a moment. I know we joked about it and whatever, but you can't have a moment like in the Chicago game last year where you're like, this is easy shit. Can you handle it?
Right.
You can't be that guy, Kyle. No. Put your arm around
Mike
him.
McDaniel. What Mike McDaniel's doing for Tua, do that for Jimmy now. And do that for Trey next year.
And to me, Tua's not any better than Jimmy. Like, he's not better. He's a left-handed Jimmy.
If Tua can throw for 6 touchdown passes, Kyle, you can get that out of Jimmy too, man. Come on. I'm with you. Exactly. I agree. Sean says, Grant asked Kyle, does he self-evaluate? And if so, what things does he need to improve on as a head coach? Oh, my God. He would say,
probably won't. You are not going to get an answer out of that.
That's a good question. That's a really good question, Sean.
A great
One
question.
day I will in the offseason. Shreddy Murphy says, Kyle, that 16-year-old kid whose dad bought him low miles Camaro SS and he crashed it and took no responsibility. I just said it to my friend the other day. I was like, he is the kid whose dad bought him the nice car and he crashed it because he didn't buy it himself. No, someone will buy him another car. That's exactly what I said. That is him.
That's so funny.
Like Jed got him Trey. And Trey is literally like the Cadillac of quarterback prospects. Everything you want. Now, he's not necessarily good at anything, but he's talented at everything. It's a difference, right? Good is skill, talent is potential. Talented at everything. It just takes a good coach. And Kyle crashed him. It ruined the force. I'm still really upset about this. Anyway, Nees, one more question, and then we're going to get to our show, and then we'll come back to the rest because it's piling up. Nees says a lot of us also thought Huff was an issue and Banks, Brendel, Burford was an oversight by Kyle, so it's picking and choosing hindsight. True. Hold on. All I'm going to say is let's wait on those guys. Huff's already in the Hall of Fame, but they haven't faced a good offense yet, so wait. Also, those offensive linemen, they haven't faced a good interior rusher yet. Aaron Donald's lurking in 2 weeks. Let's just wait before we crown people. But I feel you there. So far, so good. I want to keep.
Yeah, I mean, my whole thing was if this team was a Super Bowl ready team, that you do everything you can to win it. And I felt like running the mill with 3 interior offensive linemen that are learning on the fly is probably not the best way to do that, especially when you already have a quarterback that was learning on the fly. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't give them grace and we don't think that they can't eventually be good players. It was just about this year. Yeah. You lost 2 Pro Bowlers on that line and you're going with guys that haven't proven anything. Doesn't mean they can't be good, but we just don't know. And I don't know if that was the best case scenario to winning a ring this year. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out.
Gus Bojo says, Grant, you demand, do the reporters high five you after leaving the presser for the questions you're asking Kyle? Straight Ira Miller, Ralph Barbieri status. Keep it up, bro. Niners reporting. I gotten soft. No accountability. Thanks, man. I mean, I'd like to think if Ira and my dad were there, they would be doing this stuff too. But if you notice, I'm the only one really grilling these guys, so it's not a lot of high fives going around. Official BNA Music 88 says he can still get this work on Twitter, though. Merch. Good idea. I like it. Jonathan Chavez says if my site's back up, by the way. Bulletin. Jonathan Tevez says, if Kyle Shanahan doesn't implement deep throws, I don't see us winning the Super Bowl. Perfect example was the 2 for BA, even though they were underthrown. Jimmy is predictable. Yeah, you got to encourage. Kyle, can you be like can you do for Jimmy what Mike McDaniel is doing for Tua? That's your job this year. Make Jimmy feel like that dude. Because you've been like taking him down a peg for half a decade. Now bring him up a peg. That's your job.
Yeah.
Christopher says, liked how you said Kyle got Lance hurt. Truth. Thanks. You're the only person that liked that. Gregory says, Kyle is too much of a control freak to let Jimmy Garoppolo play backyard football. Trade banana hands, get our wasted picks back, and get a real coach to develop Trey. Hey, I'm not saying trade him now, but he's got a year to do something. Prove yourself, Kyle.
Here's the hard part. Let's say they go get Sean Payton. This whole we were just talking about committed to Lance, that project's done. Let's be clear about that, because Sean Payton also said that he wouldn't have played Trey Lance. He wants a Jimmy Garoppolo type quarterback.
He might have meant that he didn't believe in Kyle Shanahan's ability to develop him. Maybe
that's the case. But when you have a new regime, and it's not just Trey, a lot of these players are out because they were not drafted by them. They are not the same style. They are not. People come in and clean house. So Trey could be a part of that, right? So we got to, if we want Trey, the best chance of Trey playing, it's a catch-22. I'm not a Niner fan. Best chance of Trey playing,
I would want a Lombardi. That's all I want.
For sure. But I'm saying as a fan base, if we want Trey to play and have a chance, the best chances with Shanahan. However, the flip side of that is we don't know if Shanahan can develop them. So it's a catch-22.
I don't know. It is a catch-22. 49ers daddy says, is Kyle respected by his players or is Jimmy the true leader? I think Jimmy's a true leader. And I think we're seeing he's not respected by his players enough. I mean, if he says this is our quarterback, that's what it is. They should say, sir, yes, sir. It's a military culture. But they're like, no, we know your record without Jimmy Garoppolo. Sorry, buddy. Yeah. Kyle holds 15-player leadership meeting to keep things in-house. They leak how they feel about better about Jimmy the day Lance got injured. Yeah, man. I mean, he had to like beg 15 leaders to like support Trey. Like, dude, you're the head coach. I couldn't imagine Jim Harbaugh doing something like that, or Bill Belichick, or Nick Saban. Like, dog, be a leader.
I know. I want to say this. I know where he's going with that. Being in leadership roles myself throughout my years in my career, that was something I always had. I was always big on a coalition, right? Much smaller, but I didn't have 53 employees. I had like 15. But having a group of people that you can go to and deliver any tough news first so that they can kind of get their emotions out, you can talk through it, and then they can go out and kind of be your ear to the street and let you know if there's any discourse so you can take care of it.
But the fact that he had to go to those people and like essentially beg them kind of means that he knows that they're not going to be behind his decision. It's like, hey, look, I know you have your own idea of what's best for the team, but support my idea, please. And they're like, okay, you're my boss, but privately, I'm still going to go out to drinks with my buddies and be like, what the fuck? Like, I'm sorry.
Well, and that's the problem, right? Yeah. Like if you don't get that leadership buy-in from them, then you're screwed.
Yeah, but the buy-in was always bogus. I mean, it was just like, what are you supposed to tell your boss? He's like, hey, support Trey. Okay. Like, what am I supposed to? No, I'm not going to do it. D-Flow says, you two playing coach like you know more than Kyle. Why can't you accept the fact that he can change his same scheme with Jimmy back? They will win. Why can't I accept this fact that he can change?
I mean, D-Flow, to be fair, I think I said that I don't get paid to do this, but why can I foresee things that Kyle can't? That's my only confusion.
Keneal says, I'm a Trey guy forever, but Jimmy in F-it mode equals best Jimmy in years. Actually see him trying to throw it outside the numbers. Give me some hope for him. Yeah, man. It's like he's in contract year and he knows the book against him, like the knocks against him. He's trying to prove it wrong. Hey, good. Do that.
I think the biggest thing for Jimmy is he just has to prove he can stay healthy. That's probably if he's going to hit the open market next year, he has to prove he can stay healthy. I think that's probably. If I were
Jimmy's agent, though, I'd be like, hey, all of Kyle's quarterbacks get hurt. It's not my guy's fault, which might be true. Paul Third says, I'm sure all those vets are excited. It's now easier for them to hit their bonuses, but there are no Super Bowl champs on this roster other than Jimmy Garoppolo as a backup. Do they even know what it takes? Nope. Sherman knew. Who's a champion on this roster? Sanders knew. Do they know what it takes? That's a good question. Does this? They're going to get their bonuses though. That's right, because they might not have gotten them with running the ball like that. But do they know what it takes to win a Super Bowl?
Do they even have a Super Bowl winning coach on there? I mean, other than Lynch, right? Like, that's the only
Not
person
Trent
in the
Williams.
building that has a championship. Yeah.
Wow. That's a really damn good point, Paul. That's a good point. Maybe they should trade for one. Tobin says, answer the damn Super Bowl question, Grant. You picked them. I can see Jimmy balling out, but there's Kyle. I have a tough time seeing Jimmy Garoppolo win a Super Bowl unless he becomes Jimmy 2.0 and starts slinging it down the field. So maybe, but we'll see. They do have a nice defense. They do. David the Prankster says, I don't know what will happen this season. Hopefully Kyle will suffer the neck injury of getting his head out of his rear, but I really hope they bring people in next offseason to develop Trey. Right now, our staff isn't it. Another quarterback coach, 3 in 3 years, Brian Greasy. Yeah, Niners First Take says, finally some fellow content creators who are willing to say the truth about the all the current Niners issues. Mazel tov to you both. Mazel tov to you, Jesse. Because Jesus was Jewish. Ronald Key says, if Trey a Cadillac, it's the year they had transmission and electrical problems. We should have not traded up and just drafted Michael Parsons. I don't know. I feel like teams are looking at Trey and the Niners like opportunity. To me, like Bill Walsh, he wouldn't have traded 3 firsts for Trey Lance out of North Dakota State, but he traded a second for Trey Lance out of 49ers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
That's how he got Steve Young. He was looking at the Tampa Bay Bucks and Steve like, oh, you're blowing it. You have no idea what to do with that guy. All right, I can swoop. I'm a good coach. I'm a good coach. I can handle this. I think good coaches around the league are looking at this like, I'm not going to run in between the tackles. I could do something different, you know?
Listen, I'll say this. Joe Burrow came to the league at 25. Trey Lance finishes his rookie contract and goes into that next season at the age of 25. He is not done. If he gets pushed to the side by the 49ers, there's going to be somebody that takes a chance on him. And nothing would hurt more than to watch him go somewhere else and play really good football.
And be Steve Young. Then you're the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Daniel Ailman says, you see Jimmy throw a perfect dime to the outside the numbers and hit Ike in the chest. Yeah, so that's great. I think it's phenomenal. And it's like we're talking about Steve DeBerg. Hey, did you see Steve DeBerg? He actually made a nice throw. Like, he's not Steve DeBerg anymore. Like, it's still Steve DeBerg. But yeah, he did something that you don't normally think Steve DeBerg would do, but he's still Steve.
Listen, Jimmy has some good throws from time to time, right? And one of the ones that I keep going back to, and I remember tweeting about this, contrary to popular belief, because everybody thinks I hate Jimmy, but I remember tweeting that Jimmy Garoppolo on a throw against the Eagles in week 2 last year saved Kyle Shanahan because his clock management in the first half was piss poor. And I feel like Jimmy's throw saved him and they were able to put points on the board, and it was a big 3 points. So to me, he can make a throw here or there, but it's the power throws I worry about. What he did was not a power throw. No. It still wasn't a power throw because he wasn't on the far hash. It was a floater, and it was a good throw. I'm not taking anything away from him, but he can't make the power throws.
No. Young Jamal Armstrong says, appreciate and respect you both. Love tuning into Niners After Dark. Just wanted to show a little love. Jamal's a great guy. Met him I met him before, but I saw him in person before the game, and we've done a show together. We'll be doing shows in the future. Jamal, I'll see you soon.
Jamal's
I don't think we're going to make it to our next. Yeah, Jamal's great. I don't think we're going to make it to our next topic, but we're going to take the rest of our super chats.
Let's go.
Mango says trade Kyle and Kittle to Atlanta for Pitts. I was the guy saying draft Pitts, and that was dumb. But in retrospect, you could have made an argument for Chase. You could have. I didn't. You could have. Darth Mexican says, is the hard truth that the credited real genius of Kyle has been Sean McVay's, Mike McDaniels, Bobby T's, and Mike LaFleur's? I wanted to say, have you ever seen the French play Cyrano de Bergerac?
No.
Okay. It's about this guy who's a poet, but he's ugly. He's got a big nose, and he loves this woman. And this dumb, handsome guy in like the same platoon or whatever, like military platoon, likes the same woman. And he like writes the poems and like helps him be like a lover boy for this. But so I kind of feel like Cyrano was Mike McDaniel, and he was like making Kyle look good. You know what I'm saying? But now Mike McDaniel's over there like looking great over there despite his awkward appearance. I'm wondering, Kyle, prove yourself.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm ready to go that far. I think the 49ers are still going to win a lot of games, but I do like the reference. One thing Kyle has done, right, and we have to give him credit for that, is he has done a good job of building future coaches. I will give him that. He develops his coaches well. There's just something lost in the sauce between him and maybe the player. I don't know. I don't know what it is. There's something missing, and I can't put a finger on it.
House of Jello says beat writers / the press are an extension of fans, correct? Also, Kyle doesn't like them and looks down on them. Isn't he essentially doing that to fans?
Yes.
Wow. You're the first Niners fan who figured that out. Yes, he is doing that. Yes. That's what he thinks of you. You should take that personally. I would. I do. Educate me, kidding? I educate you, bro.
But see, that's what's funny, right? Because it's a lot of the fans are like totally okay just conceding that that's not the case. They're totally okay with their reporters asking vanilla questions and getting vanilla answers, and they get mad when maybe they don't like the source and Grant Cohn who asked a tough question. But you should be happy that those are the questions you should want to know about, right?
Yeah.
Like, why are you getting upset? They are here to do the job of you. They're your voice. Why are you mad?
The coach says, just remember this, player window for IR eligibility is a 4-week window to the first day you practice. 12 weeks is week 13. Trey Lance got to be back on track or practicing by then, no later. Do the math, forget the press conferences.
No, that's fair.
I suck at math. So what he's saying is week 13 plus 4 weeks. Okay. I think so. What he's saying is they could start the eligibility window week 13. That goes to week 17. You could bring them back week 18 or for the playoffs. Is that what he's saying?
Yeah, essentially. Yeah. If you open at week 12, then you have till week 16. 13, you have till week 17, which is about the timetable that he could come back. Yes.
Cool. Thanks, coach. Miguel says, Jed, this is what happens when you spoil your coach. True.
We still haven't heard anything from Jed. Where you at, man?
Say something, buddy. Haha says the fact that many in the national media who know nothing about the Niners disagree with Grant is a great thing. Yeah, what's up with all these people who know nothing about me or the team just come back and be like, what's up with that bitter pundit in the Bay? Like, why are you taking shots at me? Like, I'm not trying to take your job. I'm not coming for your spot at the NFL Network or Fox. Like, I'm just doing my little thing in my boiler room on my YouTube channel. Like, why you sweating me? I'm not sweating you. I don't watch you, Rich Eisen. You watch me.
I'll say this. It's what Cowherd is doing is super disappointing to me because I grew up in Portland, Oregon. Cowherd used to be on like the local news channel as the sports guy in Portland way back when I was a kid. And then he was on sports radio. So I've like followed his career everywhere. And I really, really enjoyed watching him grow and turn into what he's turned into. And the way that he's gotten so bitter around Trey and admitted that it was personal.
Yeah.
Bro, that's so crappy of you, man. I hate to see it. And I know that Cowherd watches your stuff because he brought you up. So Cowherd, if you're watching this, do better, man. You got to do better.
Well, I think everyone came down hard on me about Kinlaw. Like I made it personal with Kinlaw when I really didn't. I just gave him the typical you're a first round pick treatment. It's a high bar. Like Cowherd is legitimately making it personal with Trey Lance. I've never do some shit like that. He's doing it right now. And a lot of people think he's cool for doing that shit. I think he's whack. People that work with him. How could you work with a bum like that? Because to work with look, a lot of people work with me. You don't have to agree with me about a damn thing. You can totally disagree about whatever. But to work with Cowherd, you have to agree with every stinking sports take he has. Really sell your soul to work with that guy. And how much is he paying you? I don't get it. I don't understand.
Yeah, where's McAfee to come cape? Where you at, McAfee? Aren't you were caping for players a little bit ago? Like, where's that now? Where's Armstead? Like, where's that? Like, where's that hatred at? This is a national media guy who's getting way more traction on what he gets than what Grant gets. If what Grant did was so bad
Eric,
with Kinlaw,
why don't you stick up for Trey?
At?
Say something to Colin. And that's the thing. Like a lot of people, like all these Niners fans, like all these players in the Niners, and like said stuff to me on Twitter. Hey, say something to Colin Cowherd, man. Say something to Stephen A. Smith when he calls your quarterback porn star Jimmy. Like all of a sudden you're bold because you're going up against little old me. I'm actually a little bit more powerful than you think, but like, why don't you have something to say when it's Colin or Stephen A. or Skip? Like they all have something to say about you guys. Say something.
Well,
Anyway,
listen, it's there are also guys that we trust in this community, and you guys can do the research yourself. Multiple guys in this community that are employed by the volume. So just take that with a grain of salt. That's all I'll say.
I got 10 minutes left with Jesse. We got to go lightning round. Seth Harvey says we're losing the Broncos. Just sad, honestly. All the Jimmy fans are touting Super Bowl. You'd think you'd learn from 2019 vibes in 2020. I don't think they're losing to the Broncos.
I don't know either. The Broncos don't look so hot, man. This team,
Oh.
the 49ers team, 49ers are still very, very good. And the recipe with Jimmy Garoppolo, they can win a lot of games with Jimmy. Don't kid yourself.
C. Turley says, will you ever have Lombardi as a guest or vice versa? Nah. Chris Tellerico says, we need to pump the brakes on Trey starting here next year. Kyle hasn't done right by the kids so far. Why start then? Yeah, I have no idea what's going to happen next year. For all I know, their starting quarterback next year could be Aaron Rodgers, and their head coach could be Sean Payton. I have no. This is they're a very here and now team. They're a week to week team. I have no idea what they're going to look like next year. They might miss the playoffs. The Mech, my guy, says let's develop our young quarterback and making him watch someone else who does the complete opposite. It's ridiculous. Let's hit the guy. He learns nothing. Oh, the Mech. Sorry. Let me give you. I'm going to give Kyle Shanahan your number. He's going to call you up and educate you on football because you don't understand. You just don't get
looking sharp, Mech. Looking sharp, man.
Yeah, he's looking great as always. A couple more. Matt H. member. Thank you. Base Spokane Niner fan says, has anyone interviewed Trey since the injury? No. I'm interested in what his thoughts on it were, his perspective of the play. I'm sure we'll hear it one day, but he's going to probably be quiet for a while.
Yeah.
Salvador says pre-lawsuits were the Niners going to trade 3 firsts to Houston Texans for Watson early. I get the feeling
they were going to try.
And Rodgers. I get the feeling those were their plans A and B. I could be wrong.
I think Watson was in. I think he was. I really think that could have been a plan too. Yeah,
could have been. Matt H has disappointed the team. Thinks they're better. They're better with Jimmy. Wait until they lose a big game because Jimmy throws a pick and the defense can't bail him out. I mean, I'll never forget the game last year in Tennessee, in Nashville. I mean, you talk about shitting the bed. That's what Jimmy did. We really need to give him another chance. How many times does he have to shit the bed in big games before it's like the whole locker room says, you know what, we gotta try something else? I keep cursing. I'm sorry.
It's 49ers After Dark. It wouldn't be that without you cursing. The thing is people in life, just in general, they get comfortable with being comfortable, right? And when something happens that's new, that could be better or could be worse, a lot of people aren't willing to take that risk. And players are no different, right? They're human beings. I feel like they're just very comfortable with Jimmy. It's easy. They know who he is. They like Jimmy. And that's what they're choosing. So let's see what happens.
Ethan says very little play action considering Trey did that in college. It's true. And I think that's why they drafted him. He had the under center play action experience. The coach says, Jesse, he's not that type of outside runner. He can't beat a tackle off the edge out his own mouth. And Grant agreed. You guys are talking in circles. Where else is Trey going to run? You'll want a villain. See, I disagree. What I think is if Josh Allen and his 4.75 can get to the edge, then Trey Lance can too. What I said earlier is running is not just as natural of a thing as you think. Like it takes experience, and there's a transition as well. And he was not even good at the zone read. Like his reads on the zone read needed development. So I thought he had the athleticism for it, but he has the athleticism to do everything at a high level. He's not good at anything right now. He needs experience and time on task. And so I think that's what we're saying.
I'm saying something a little bit different. I don't think that read option is the best thing for Trey because he's not going to beat. I stand by what I said. It showed up on film all the time in college. It did. However,
if Josh Allen can get to the edge, then Trey can too. It's scheme. And again, if you're not throwing it all with your quarterback, everyone's going to be triggering on the run anyway. You have to keep them honest, man.
So let me say how you can do that though.
Yeah.
Here's what you can do. Boot action.
Yep.
That's how you now he's launch point ready to go. outside the tackle already. If he doesn't like what he sees, he doesn't have to beat somebody out to the outside. He's already there, right? There are ways around it. There are so many ways to scheme around what somebody does good and what they don't do well. And Trey will take off and run from time to time. But when he does, it's usually like Red Sea parts and he's gone up the middle and now he's not taking a lot of contact and he can do his thing out in open space. And if he is taking a contact, it's with a safety and not a defensive tackle, right? That's very, very different.
Ronald Key says Kyle didn't want Trey, probably wanted a D lineman. He wanted a running back. He only wants running backs. You're a wide receiver, but can you play running back? Oh, you're a quarterback? That's dope. But can you play running back too? See, the thing was Tom Brady called him 2 years ago and was like, I'd really like to play for you. And Kyle's like, that's phenomenal. But can you play running back? Tom's like, no, I'm the greatest quarterback of all time. He's like, yeah, that's really cool. But over here, if you can't play running back, you really can't play for us. And Tom's like, sorry, I don't do that. Sean says, Grant, the man lied about liking a tweet at church. It's very not a Christian thing to do, lying about that tweet.
I forgot about that whole thing. It
feels like years ago. Ramon says Jesse Lance played his last down as a Niner. I don't think so.
Maybe.
Possible. Little Lord Stewie says, do you think this is Brandon's last season and will try to get a first round pick, which I'm thinking because of all the BS they do to him, which might want out? No. They're going to keep him to his 5th-year option, just like McGlinchey. He's got a couple more years here.
Hold up, Brandon. Why was there a laughing emoji like like some super villain? You like we're happy with that? Like, are you cool with the injury? No. Go back to the last one.
What? No, there's no laughing emoji.
No, the super tweet or the one right before. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I guess Ramon.
Come on, man.
Come on, bruh. David says Peyton is going to the Cowboys. Probably. That's true. Tinker says, just wanted you both to know y'all are stressing me out.
Hey, that's Tinker. That's my Super Bowl pick. I just, unlike Grant, before the season, I said the 49ers would lose in the Super Bowl to the Bills because I just think the Bills are too good.
Yeah, they're good. Official B&A Music 88 says, Kyle, gotta ask Kiara and Mia how to support you. It's true, though, but it's true. I hope Jimmy goes Rouge.
Rouge. No, he did say Rouge, but I think he meant Rogue.
Ignores all the play calls and runs whatever he wants. What the hell could Kyle do? All pass, no bone breaks. I actually think that's dope. I like that.
I do. I like that too. He's like,
we're going to go to Brock Purdy?
Running my offense.
You could have Brock Purdy run your team, or you could have me save your job. I'm also suddenly, I'm pro Jimmy.
Like, I would say that too. No, I'm a big Jimmy fan if he does this.
We didn't create the situation. Kyle did. And Jimmy's been a good guy. Like, he's done what I would try to do. Yeah, like, Jimmy, stick it to Kyle. Please do whatever the hell you want to do. It's all on you.
I'm for that.
What am I going to do? Bench you for for Brock Purdy? No. Bryant Culp says, honest opinion, isn't every year for the Niners fans Super Bowl or bust until he gets it? I feel like the whole Trey Lance thing was giving Kyle like the benefit of the doubt and longevity. Like, you know what? He's got a future. Now it's like, nah, week to week, win. Good point. Jerron says Kyle plays Trey in a bad position to get hurt. Number 3 pick, and he's gone for the entire season. The second game is sad. So Grant, keep your foot in Kyle's neck. All right, if you tell me to. If Kyle's mad, I'm gonna be like, Jerron said I should. So
Jerron the fan. Tell him he doesn't know football.
Yeah. Jesse says Mooney Ward won with Chiefs versus us. Yeah, Mooney Ward's good.
That's true. Oh, yeah. That Super Bowl. We were asking if any players have a ring. There we go.
Oh, there you go. Travarius.
Yeah, there we go.
Mike from Naked says, I'm only watching your content until Niners hit the playoffs. I can't go a season journey again. It's only be left down after the Niners stack the box, after the defense stacks the box. Yep. You already know where this is going. That's why it's on Jimmy to throw the ball down the field. We have 2 minutes left. I'm going fast.
Go rapid fire.
Rapid fire. Wait a second. Gregory Young says, keep it up, Grant. We need someone to speak truth to Shannon cultists. Hold this regime accountable for questionable choices. Thanks. Me against the world. Obi-Wan Raziki says, Grant, I'd love you to link with Nick Wright. He seemed like the only national dude who has an educated take on Trey, Jimmy, Kyle situation.
I do like his take on the whole Trey. I do agree with that.
Yeah, I would definitely be down to do that, actually. The Polo Show says, Kyle gives, I'm the smartest guy in the room vibes. You think?
What up, Chris?
Y'all think? So did Chip Kelly. Victor 2, $5. Thank you. JB, that's it. Says, what was Trey first TD outside run behind Trent? Nah, it was a touchdown throw to Sherfield. But yeah, that's it.
It was first TD.
Keith Murphy says, I believe Watson move is why we didn't go after Stafford. And by that time, he was traded to LA. Also, Rodgers It was I don't know about Watson. It was reported that the Niners were trying to make moves on Rodgers.
I think what he's trying to say is that I'm wrong, that he can't. His strength is not to run outside the tackles. Listen, Jimmy's strength is not to throw outside the numbers. It doesn't mean he can't do it. It just means he can't do it regularly, right?
David the Prankster says Mitchell Wishnowsky got extended because he'll start playing running back fake punts. Yeah, it's already understood. Greenlaw,
I thought he was supposed to be like a fake punt guy. Where have those been?
Yeah, seriously. Charlie says Child Canahan and Jimmy Garopolo are menaces and threats to my child. That's funny. Raheem Foreman says rounds 1 through 3 is Kyle's picks. He always wanted Trey. He's just not a good evaluator and players and didn't see how big of a project Trey truly was. No, I mean, I think he saw it. He just might have overestimated his ability to coach. I'm sorry. The coach says you guys can't even agree with one another yet. You both know it's Kyle's fault. Okay, I'm going to bed. Get some dinner on me. Thanks, coach. I appreciate you, man. Thanks.
Well, yeah, but coach, we don't have to agree. Like we don't have to be on the same page. Like that's not the way this works. I have an opinion and Grant has an opinion. They're just different.
I don't even remember what his. I'm sorry.
It was Trey outside running, I think.
Again, like people say he's not fast enough to get to the edge. Like if Josh Allen can get to the edge in Buffalo, there's got to be ways to get Trey to the edge here. I'm thinking if they threw the ball a little bit and got defenses on their heels, it could work. But also just like what I'm saying is Trey needed time. Like you need experience running the ball as well as passing. That's my point. You can't expect Trey to be a great runner right away just because he's a good athlete. Just like you can't expect him to be a great passer right away just because he's a great athlete. Both things take experience is what I was trying to say, the coach. And as a coach, you should agree with that. Understand what I'm saying? Black Caesar says Trey has thrown only 100 balls for his career. If you take into account Debo's drop balls, he's way over 60%. Debo. Gotta love Debo. Oh, man. Trey's inexperience is going to keep being the thing, dude, forever because he can't play. Keith Murray says, and guys, Russ scared me more than Seattle. He hasn't run any games, but somehow that against the Niners, he always plays his best. He doesn't have to break the line of scrimmage to be a threat with his legs.
They got the bugaboo. They got the bugaboo off their chest last week. Now they can do it again in back-to-back weeks, right?
This is the last comment. Stop giving me money. I appreciate all your donations. Ramon says, Jesse, it was an inside joke because of it being mentioned on your show with Sunil.
Oh, okay. My bad, Ramon. My bad. I didn't want to paint you in that light if that's not what you meant. I was just like, damn, that's really dark. Like, are you rooting for the injury? What's going on, bro?